Working with people in other countries, both as a pastoral minister, teacher, and advocate for justice, is a stressful job. Deb Elliot and Don Gibson work as a team in overseas work for the United Church of Canada. They have found that working in a totally different culture brings both challenges and rewards. Recently, they sat down with Matthew Penny to talk about their work in Latin America and the hopes they have for moving ahead in ministry. To start us off then, Don tells Matthew what the area in which they live is like.
Nicaragua is probably one of or the poorest country in Central America.
Really?
And where we live is the poorest part of Nicaragua. So we have an area of, there's no tourist industry. There's people living, subsistence living.
85% unemployed or underemployed.
85%? That's got to be just mind-numbing for the people there.
Most people don't have a full-time job.
Wow.
Most men are work day laborer kind of positions. Somebody's got a job for a week, somebody's got a job for a day.
And it's a community of entrepreneurs, so everybody does something off their front porch.
Yeah.
But they can barely scrape by because they all have the same product.
So how big a place is poor? How many people?
About 35,000 people.
Yeah.
Big place then.
It's 35,000 people. 80% of them are Mosquito, which is the local indigenous people, and about another 10% are Creole, and there's about another 5% are Pacific Coast Spanish speakers.
So tell me, you're in the place. What do you do as overseas personnel there? What's your chief task and minor tasks? And
well, I'm a pastor in the Moravian Church. The United Church of Canada is partnered up with the Moravians in Nicaragua. The Moravians have been on the Caribbean coast for about 164 years, and the church where I serve is the one of 18 Moravian churches, and it's the only congregation that speaks Creole. But the other thing I do, and it has to do with culture, is that every church in Puerto Cabezas has its own school. And so we have a school. We have first kindergarten up to grade 7. And so I teach English from grades 4 to 7, and that takes up 2 days of my week and a considerable amount of prep time. Yeah. But that's where my joy is, because I love working with the kids, and it's tons of fun.
Great.
So.
And now what do you do? She's the pastor,
Yeah, I'm the pastor's spouse. I often get mistaken for a reverenda, but I'm no soy a reverenda. I work a couple of different places. The one thing I've been doing since we got there is I work in a water project, Pure Elliot. The Moravian Church of Nicaragua has a social outreach, social justice network. It's called ADSIM.
Okay.
And one of the things ADSIM is doing is we have a deep well and we pump out fresh water, potable water. I'm also working on putting in wells, putting in deep wells. As Deborah was saying, there's 18 Moravian churches in Puerto Cabezas.
18?
So that pretty well means every barrio, every neighborhood has got a Moravian church in it. So we're trying to get the Moravian churches, each individual church, to put a well in.
So it would serve their
serve their neighborhood.
Right. And so far you've got 4 wells from donations through the Hope.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now there are other wells being drilled because there are other groups like the United Church that provide support to ADSIM. So there's an American group, and we've become friends with them, and they come down and they pay for wells as well.
Correct.
So we're not alone in this. So it's not like, well, we can only drill 4 wells. In fact, there's 6 and 7 and 8 in this 6-month period being drilled, and we will continue as long as we're there to promote to United Church congregations to support us in drilling wells.
One of the other things I've started to do in the last few months is I'm working with a group of boys.
Okay.
My background when I was in Canada, I was a scouter and a scout leader for 20-something years, so I'm used to working with young boys. And we started to notice through our school at the church that there's a good percentage of the boys just don't have it. They're not acting like good kids?
I would call them boys at risk, and I'm
Boys at
teaching
risk.
the 5th grade, and I have 49 of them.
Okay.
And so they have no good male role models. They have anger management,
Behavioral issues. and stuff.
behavioral
Behavioral
issues. They come from some from alcoholic families. One of the boys is from a family of 16 children. And his aunt works hard all day long, and she just doesn't have the time, literally, to give the amount of affection or discipline or direction that her children need, because she's so busy surviving.
I have a group of boys, and I'm trying to teach them how to be men.
That's
And
tough. That can be tough.
That is
isn't it?
tough. And so I'm trying to do life skills training with them, teaching them things like how to proper hygiene, how to wash your hands, how to get cleaned up, ready to eat. We start off with a simple meal, sandwich and a drink, and
Don
then
gets them, hang on, Don gets them to serve each other
And we
teaches
do-
them to say,
well,
say
you know,
thank you, say please, you know, simple things.
breaking bread together is a very can be a very spiritual thing.
Well, it's the basis of
And
our
that's
faith.
right. So I mean,
Yeah, is it making a difference?
We've
It's a
had
big
one
question.
boy that was suspended twice before the group started. He hasn't been suspended from school since. We have another child that we thought was, you know, depressed. He was unhappy all the time and told me, I'm sad, I don't have any friends. So we've seen like a handful of small miracles in just 6 weeks of what can happen when there's good male role models and something that keeps them engaging but is teaching at the same time. And this is the thing we're most enthusiastic about, because we've seen miracles in such a short period of time.
You've told us you're the pastor, and we've talked about water with Don. Do you do the normal pastor things, or are there special things you do as a pastor to a church in Port?
Well, there's the regular church service, and the Moravians are very liturgical, so they would be more similar in their worship to, say, Anglicans or Catholics, and not similar to a United Church service at all.
Okay.
And we have a prayer group that meets twice a week, which I've never been able to form a prayer group that is functional in a church in Canada. And we also have Bible study, and I get about 7 or 8 people that come to the Bible study with a congregation of about 50 or 60 people. So I think that's a good turnout.
That's almost 10%.
And it's a nice sized group. And we just started at the beginning, and we're working our way through the Old Testament.
Wow.
And I'm learning as much as they are and having fun. But I guess the most exciting group in the church that I really enjoy is the young adults. We have about 15 to 20 young adults.
When you say young adults, what ages are these?
They're about 25 to 35.
Okay.
They're kind of at that age where they all have babies, little kids, and we meet every Saturday. And when I first met with them, I didn't know what they normally did. So I invited them to the manse at 6 o'clock. You know, we have a very large living room, so they all came. And I went out and bought pop and soda cakes, and, you know, to have a snack. And so one of the things I said, well, what do you normally do? And Indira, who's an absolute delight, turned to me and said, well, we normally go to each other's houses, but we really like your snacks, so we'll come here every Saturday. And so they come every Saturday, and for the past 3 months we've been doing confirmation. A lot of these young people haven't been confirmed.
So they're really working on their faith.
So they've been working, and so we've been doing systematic theology. You know, who is God? What does God look like? What does God taste like? Who is God for you? You know, and sort of systematically going through God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, evil, justice, mission, you know, and so we're almost at the end of that. Well, we are at the end of that, because the Sunday after I get back, we're going to actually be doing confirmation.
Oh, what fun. Yeah, it sounds like you're having an adventurous time. In
Oh, it's a
Nicaragua.
blessing every day, every day. You never know what's going to happen next, and it's just a total blessing.
Well, thank you for telling us the stories today. It's good for us to hear these stories, and I want to wish you the best of luck when you return, so that we hear more stories when you come back here again. Thank you.
Okay, okay.
good. Thank you.
We appreciate your feedback on the show. Or if you have any upcoming events in your faith community, please contact Doug Croden by emailing doug@anchorvideo.com. If you'd like to view any of our past programs, check out the video archives at lifeandfaith.ca. For those with mobile devices, you can also connect from here to our YouTube site.